Welcome to the Folkkeeper's Hearth, where timeless tales and ancient lore come alive. Gather round as we explore the myths, legends, and fables that have been passed down through the generations, keeping us connected to our ancestors and the old ways. Do you have your cup of tea? Have you pulled up a chair? It is time. Let us begin. The Heroes of Asgard, Chapter 3, Freyr, Part 1, On Tiptoe in Airthrone. You remember how Freyr of the Vanir departed into Alfheim, the realm of the Light Elves, where he was given lordship and honour among them as a child of promise. From those early days, the elves held him dear, for his presence brought warmth, harmony, and the gentle ordering of the natural world. You have heard what Freyr was like, and the gifts he taught to those who dwelt near him, so you can well imagine the bright days that unfolded in Alfheim beneath his care. Wherever Freyr came, there was summer and sunshine. Flowers sprang up under his footsteps, and bright-winged insects, like flying flowers, hovered round his head. His warm breath ripened the fruit on the trees, and gave a bright yellow colour to the corn, and purple bloom to the grapes as he passed through fields and vineyards. When he rode in his shining wain, drawn by the golden-bristled boar, soft winds blew before him, filling the air with fragrance, and spreading abroad the news, "Van Freyr is coming," and every half-closed flower burst into perfect beauty, and forest and field and hill flushed their richest colours to greet his presence. Under Freyr's care and instruction, the Light Elves set aside their wandering aimlessness and found joy in the rhythms of the natural world. It was the prettiest possible sight to see them in the evening filling their tiny buckets and running about among the woods and meadows to hang the dewdrops deftly on the slender tips of the grass blades, or to drop them into the half-closed cups of the sleepy flowers. When this last of their day's tasks was over, they used to cluster round their summer lord like bees about the queen, and he told them tales of ancient days, of the struggles between the Aesir and the Jotnar, of far-off shores he had known when he dwelt with his father Njord in Noatun, and of his kin-sister Freyja, whose wisdom and might shone no less brightly than his own. So pleasantly did they spend their time in Alfheim. But in the midst of all this work and play, Freyr had a wish in his mind, of which he could not help often taking to his clear-minded messenger and friend Skirnir. "I have seen many things," he used to say, "and travelled through many lands, but to see all the world at once, as Asa Odin does from Airthrone, that must be a splendid sight." "Only Odin may sit on Airthrone," Skirnir would say, and it seemed to Freyr that this answer was not so much to the purpose as his friend's sayings generally were. At length, one very clear summer evening, when Odin was feasting with the other Aesir in Valhalla, Freyr could restrain his curiosity no longer. He left Alfheim, where all the elves were fast asleep, and without asking anyone's advice, climbed into Airthrone and stood on tiptoe in Odin's very seat. It was a clear evening, and he looked first all round him over Midgard, where the rosy light of the set sun still lingered, and where men and birds and flowers were gathering themselves up for their night's repose. Then he glanced towards the shining hills where Bifrost rested, and then towards the shadowy land which deepened down into Niflheim. At length he turned his eyes northward to the misty land of Jotunheim. There the shades of evening had already fallen, but from his high place Freyr could see distinct shapes moving about through the gloom. Strange and monstrous shapes they were, and Freyr stood a little higher on tiptoe that he might look further after them. In this position he could just discern a tall house standing on a hill in the very middle of Jotunheim. When he looked at it, a maiden came and lifted her arms to undo the latch of the door. It was dusk in Jotunheim, but when this maiden lifted up her white arms, such a dazzling reflection came from them that Jotunheim and the sky and all the sea were flooded with clear light. For a moment, everything could be distinctly seen. But Freyr saw nothing but the face of the maiden with the uplifted arms. And when she had entered the house and shut the door after her, and darkness fell again on earth and sky and sea, darkness fell too upon Freyr's heart. And so the light fades, out in the world and in Freyr's heart. Yet even in that darkness, something has begun. The rune we end with, Ingwaz, is the seed kept safe, the fire kept inward, the hidden spark that waits for its hour. And once such a spark is lit in the heart, the old tales tell us this: it rarely fades without changing the one who bears it. Thank you for joining me for this Northern tale, based on the retellings found in the Heroes of Asgard by Annie and Eliza Keary, a public domain work first published in the 19th century. This is just the beginning of our journey through the old tales of the Aesir. We'll return to their stories in future episodes, weaving them in among other myths and legends from across the folk traditions of Northern Europe. Until next time, may the old ways guide you, and may the voices of our ancestors never fade.